And if it's softer, it can always be the tool that the enemy uses to keep you in a place. Because like I tell you, sometimes you just need to be told the truth in order for you to change it. Don't give me a reason why or give me a way to say, well, it's not that bad. Yes, it is. Numbers 27, 18, 20. And the Lord said unto Moses, take thee Joshua the son of Nun, a man in whom the Spirit, and lay thy hands upon him. Next verse. And set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and give him a charge in their sight. Verse 20. And thou shalt put some of thine honor upon him, that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient. When God got ready to shift Israel, he says, take Joshua, told Moses, take Joshua, put him down there, and then take some of what's on you and put it on him in front of them. So they can understand that's who I chose. You can try to change God's mind, but if that's who he chose, that's who you have to follow. So when you deal with the book of Corinthians, it is the epistle of the gifts. And the major concept of the book is put on Christ, because he's our covering. And this translates to the church because your pastor is your covering. And most people struggle today because we minimize our covering instead of maximizing what God has given us. We don't pay attention to what God has put in place. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 15. And I will give you pastors. Okay? According to the text, you don't pick your pastor. God say, I will give you pastors according to my heart, what I got in my heart for you, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. You don't get to pick. God said, I pick them, I send them to you, and they will feed you according to what I want for you. His job is to feed, nourish, to grow up. And the truth told, most saints are malnutrition due to not eating. Because the church is so hype on inspiration that we lack on information. Because a true covering is concerned about your well-being. And they feed you according to what you need, not what you want. See, sometimes you have to slow it down, cut off the organ, and say, today you're going to learn, because we're going to teach some stuff that you need. You can't fast. See, fast forward church is like cheesecake. It can make you fat, but it definitely will make you unhealthy. Yeah, see, that's the, and so at church we can be fat and unhealthy. You say, I'm going to feed you according to what you need. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. Now this is Paul talking to Timothy, the son that he's covering. And he speaks to him in verse 2 and say, and all these things thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others. Paul tells Timothy, the stuff you seen me, I need you to get it and teach it to faithful men. Faithful men. Faithful men opposed to capable men. Teach it to faithful people, not capable people. Faithful men is totally different than capable men, because people with gifts usually become unfaithful. because I don't have to come all the time because I got a gift and you need me. Faithful people will catch the vision. Capable people will try to create their own. Because, see, you need me. Faithful men will follow the leader. Capable people walk at their own pace, doing their own thing. Why? Because you need me. And you get an attitude because you gifted. And you assume you don't have to have order because you need me. Track 4, please. See, you're not a real follower until you catch vision. Whatever your leader is doing, you ought to be trying to find out what you need me to do and what you're doing. That's how I get blessed. I ain't changing it. I ain't fixing it. I'm just whatever you need me to do. If you don't need me to do nothing, I'm good. But I'm ready. I'm waiting. I'm like an arrow in the quiver. That's what the Bible talks about, an arrow in the quiver. It's already back there, Sonia, but it's ready. It's sitting in the quiver saying, whenever you pull me up, I'm ready to be shot. I'm ready to be used. And so you can't flow with me if you can't see with me. Proverbs 29:18. Watch this. Where there's no vision. I want you to look at that. Where there's no vision, the people perish. Notice, he didn't say pastor. He didn't say the pastor perish. He said the people perish. Why? Because I can get you some more people. The vision I gave you is going to come to pass by this people or some more people. But because you didn't hear, you ain't finna stop nothing. And just because you can't stop it don't mean you know. And the problem with us is we act like if we don't play our part, the game over with. The devil is a lie. Don't play your part. Is somebody drunk under a bridge? It's a crackhead still at the club waiting on you to get out of place. And as soon as you get out of place, they'll come stumbling up in church. And when you deal with Israel, 3 million people died off because they had no vision. They couldn't see what Moses was doing, and God ended up snipping them off. Because when you don't get vision, you become a problem to the vision. You become a problem for the vision. 1 Samuel 3. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision. When Eli started ministering, when Samuel started ministering, he started preaching, because Eli had gotten old and Eli wasn't preaching. And because there was no word, there was no vision. Where there's no word, you can't have vision. See, if you're not careful, you want church, but you don't want no word. Word is what opens your vision to what God can do for you, with you, and through you. And the Bible said there was no open vision. There was nothing for them to step into because there was no word. And so when there's no word, then you become frail and you become weak because there's no word. That's how come it's important for you to have a strong diet of word. Because when you fighting against the enemy, you got to know what God's word said. And you got to be so solid on it that nothing changes you. When you don't know what he said, then situations changes what he said. And make you start doing stuff on your own. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 1. And I was standing upon my watch to set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what shall I answer when I am reproved. This is a point where Habakkuk is at the level to where he has to write the vision for the people. Put a vision out there, and then his job was not only to write it, but make it plain. He says, because if you make it plain, the ones who catch it will run with it. It's his job to write it. It's their job to catch it. Not only to catch it, but run with what you catch. See, when you don't have the spirit and the vision of the pastor, you can't effectively work into the realm of leadership because you don't know what they're doing. And it's not his job to force feed you the vision. It's your job to get close enough so you can eat it. Now watch this. People want to help you in vision, and they want to help you in church, but they don't have your vision, nor do they have your spirit. They don't even have your DNA. And you can't get somebody's DNA unless you get close enough for it to be downloaded. If you follow afar off, you'll never get your leader's DNA. And when you don't get their DNA, you don't know how they function and how they do something. Now, Moses led Jethro's sheep. And if you know anything about sheep, sheep are very meticulous and they won't follow anybody. They only follow their shepherd. Well, how did Moses lead Jethro's sheep? He had walked enough with Jethro till he had picked up Jethro's mannerism and Jethro's style and his flow. And because he picked up his flow, the sheep didn't know whether Moses or Jethro. So they had no problem following Moses, because he had Jethro's mannerism. If you're going to help your leader, you have to understand you need to do what they do, not what you want to do, not what you used to do, not doing what you did from where you came from. You have to do what they doing if you're going to get what it is you need. Because see, you cannot receive the spirit of a person you do not respect. And watch this. In the natural realm, you cannot receive blood from a person unless you got their blood type. Cross-contamination of blood types will kill you. If it'll kill you naturally, it'll kill you spiritually. You cannot flow with somebody if you don't have the same blood type. How am I going to make a blood transfusion to you when you ain't got the same blood type? Whatever you respect, you're drawn to. How can you help a person you don't understand, neither do you like? Because see, you can't be a protege unless you're willing to be mentored. And what a mentor does is it pulls you out of your comfort zone. They take you to a place called stretching you, and stretching you makes you uncomfortable because it takes you into stuff you haven't seen before. And since you haven't seen it before, you assume you can't do it. But a real leader takes you into water when you can't swim and teach you in the water. I don't care how you holler and kick, you're going to learn in the water. And see, as you grow, one of the first places we get pulled away from is from our covering. As soon as we start doing good, the first thing we start doing is backing away from the thing that we should be holding on to. And anytime you back away from your covering, it makes you stand alone. And when you stand alone, God never asked you to stand alone. God never expects you to stand alone. But if you don't know any difference, you'll try to do everything standing alone. Now, when you go out and start standing alone. God said, I never called you to stand alone. And then when you don't tie to things like you should do, God sees that as out of order. Now, I don't think nobody in here gonna put money in a Coke machine and it's a sign on it that says, well, how do you figure God gonna keep pouring into you? Why would God keep putting you in places when you're out of order and you know you're out of order? All your little actions say you're out of order. Everything you do say you. And so the enemy job is to get you into a place where he can get you uncovered. And disobedience is the tool the enemy uses to uncover you. Not disobedience. If y'all remember, Gehazi stepped from under Elisha and his reward was leprosy. And so what we have to understand, you will only chase what you respect. The anointing you respect is the anointing you chase. If I don't respect it, if I don't want what you got, I'm not chasing you. And that's how come I laugh, because see, some people, you ain't trying to chase this. Because see, this going to have to cause you to change, and you don't want to change. So when you don't want to change, you don't chase it. You go find you something weaker that's all right with letting you stay the same way. See, change, when you start getting ready for change, it's going to cost you something. You got to give up something. And most of the times, we just come to church, but we ain't trying to give up nothing. Because how do you come to church for years and still mad, still angry, still frustrated? Because you ain't changing. You all right with holding the same old stuff. How many times you going to have the same system? Somebody got to talk to you the same thing. You know you can't get mad like that. You know you can't. Yeah, I know, but I ain't changing. Because as soon as I don't like something, and it ain't never my fault. Ain't never my fault. And if you look at everything you got on jobs and everything else, it ain't never. First Kings 19:19. So he departed thence and found Elisha the son of Japhet, who was plying with the 12 yokes of oxen before him, and he with the 12. And Elisha passed by him and cast his mantle upon him. Elisha is getting ready to be blessed to be able to follow Elijah, and it required him to have to give up something. He had to give up what he was having. But he understood the importance of the covering. And since he understood the parting of the covering, it cost you something. See, you can't go to the next level if you're going to hold on to the old stuff. And if you keep reading the same text, Elisha goes back and kills the 12 yokes of oxen, break up the plow, and use it for firewood to cook the meat before he went running behind Elijah. And the reason he tore up the plow, because it represents you got to kill old stuff so you can go forward. Most people can't go forward because you're too connected to old stuff. You see old stuff and you do old stuff way, and you do stuff for old, and you're so committed to it that it's uncomfortable for you to leave it. But you can't get what God got for you if you're going to hold on to the old stuff. If you ain't willing to cut stuff loose, you ain't willing to move to the next level. It's going to require you to cut some stuff loose. Because see, where I'm going is too important for me to keep letting old stuff trip me up. Because if you take it, it's going to sabotage where you're going anyway. That's why you got to get rid of it. Because if you don't get rid of it, it'll take you into the next dimension, and it'll tear up what God's trying to do for you next. And when you understand the importance of your covering, you'll fight for it. See, you can't tell me the importance of a person in your life that you won't fight for. If you won't fight for it, it ain't important for you. See, and it ain't necessarily a physical fight as much as it is a spiritual fight. You have to fight for stuff. If you want stuff, you'll fight for it. If it's important to you, you'll fight for it. If it ain't important to you, you ain't gonna fight for it. So if your pastor ain't important for you, you ain't gonna fight for him. You ain't gonna fight for him. And when you don't fight for it, anything can happen to it. Watch this. 2 Samuel 21. Moreover, the Philistines had yet war against Israel, and David went down and his servants with him, and they fought against the Philistines, and David waxed faint. In other words, David had got tired and he almost passed out. Next verse. And Ishbosheth, which was one of the sons of the giants, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, and he being grimed with new swords, thought that he had slain David, because David had passed out, so he thought he had killed David. Next verse. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, secured him and smote the Philistine and killed him. Then the men of David sware unto him, saying, thou shalt no more go out with us to battle, that thou quench not the light of Israel. In other words, what they did was, he said, now, I'm going to go take this fight over with, because if you go down, we go down. So I'm going to fight for you. How many times do you fight for them? Because even if you ain't fighting naturally, how many times do you war in the spirit for them? How many times do you really, how many times do you just go up to your pastor and say, thank you? Thank you for the word. Thank you but how many times do you just do that? See, most of the times you're so comfortable with a word that other folks, when they get a word, they go stone crazy. And you talking about pastor always going somewhere showing out. No, he ain't. He's not showing out. It's the fact that you become so common with what he does at your church that you assume that he's showing out. No, other folks ain't eating like you. They getting leftovers, left outs, and everything else. You getting the fresh cooked meal, grind and going in and making sure you fed, and you assume that's a normal thing. And if you're not careful, you think what you got is normal. One of the most underappreciated things is something is consistent. The things in your life that are consistent, you don't appreciate them. You don't appreciate breathing till you get to the point to where you can't. You don't appreciate how the rhythm of your heart is till it starts skipping beats. You don't appreciate the quality of a good mate in your life until they're gone. How come when a pastor, the only time something good is said by him is when he lay across the front? You can scream and holler and fall out when they lay him at the front, but not one time did you say thank you. 2 Kings 2 and 3. I'm going to be finished in a minute. And the sons of the prophets that were with Baal came forth unto Elisha and said unto him, knowest that the Lord will be taken away from the master from that head today? And he says, yea, I know it. Hold your peace. This is it. Now the truth is, Elisha is not one of the sons of the prophet. Elijah has a school of the prophet, but the double portion don't go to the folks who go to the school. It's going to the person who's connected to him. The other ones was in school and they was learning how to be prophets, but they wasn't learning how to be what they needed to be with Elijah. So guess what? When God gets ready to shift you, he wants to know how you connected to the thing that's got to shift you. If you're not connected to the thing that shifts you, you can't get their downloads. And when you can't get their downloads, you can't get the double portion. And so if you don't understand your covering and the importance of the covering, you can easily disrespect what you should be respecting. You can easily disrespect what you should be respecting. Because you know how we are when we start doing stuff. You know, people nowadays they want to check they want to check the pastor, and they want to make sure they no, that ain't your job to check them. It's God's job to check them. Because if you're not careful, you can put yourself in a place. Okay, since y'all want to act like that, Genesis 9. And Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. Next verse. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. Next verse. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah woke from his wine and knew what the young son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall be unto his brethren. Now, this is scenario. Noah got drunk. Was it wrong? Yes. Ham saw him drunk and then went out and told his other brothers. They're in there sloppy drunk. Shem and Japheth, and not only is he drunk, he naked. So Shem and Japheth get a sheet and back in the house and cover him. But when Noah awoke to find out what Ham had done, cursed be Canaan. And if you notice, you see no more Ham in the Bible. He completely put out the Bible because he disrespected his covering. You don't see nothing else of Ham in the Bible because he disrespected what he's supposed to have been covering. And if you understand the importance of your covering helps prepare you for your assignment. And your assignment is to assist them in doing what they're supposed to be doing. The assignment, if my assignment, your assignment is to assist me in my assignment. Your assignment is to assist me in my assignment. That's why you need their vision. You can't help me with your vision. You can only help me with my vision. Are y'all all right? Because what happens is if you understand that, you cannot lead by yourself. Trying to lead by yourself, it's not we don't have good pastors. It's just most pastors don't have good help. Because God gave us fivefold ministry for the perfecting of the saints, so they can teach the people how to do the work of the ministry. Most pastors do all the work, and everybody else just kind of tags along. So this is the problem. You can be anointed and still not come into union with your pastor or the vision. Just because oftentimes when you're gifted, you want to play outside the lines. When you're gifted, you need them to keep asking you. You don't flow because you want to play outside the lines. And so when you try to do that, now you're doing stuff separate from the house. You're part of the house, but you're separate from the house. And everybody know it. Everybody know you part of the house, but you're separate from the house. Because see, when you don't have order, you don't have structure, you do you. And when you do you, you tell them, I'm not part of what vision is doing because I'm doing me. Because see, if I'm not separate, that means I'm gonna put myself in place. So see, as a leader, people need to see you following so they can follow you. But if people can't see you following, they waiting on you to say something to them. And soon as you say something to them, they're going to tiptoe on you. They're going to let you know, just as soon as I see you do what it is you're supposed to be doing, then you can come at me and tell me something. But you can't tell me something when I watch you. And that's how come the enemy always have us in a place to try to shine for. If you're going to be a leader, you ought to be where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. So if I have to say something to somebody, it's because I'm following. You can't expect people to follow you because you got a tag. They follow you because you have an anointing to do what you do and you don't mind doing it. You obedient, you do the things you need to do. So guess what? The bottom line is, if you mess around there and lead folk astray, their blood is required of your hands. And so when we understand how we have to follow, we have to understand how God puts things in place. Four forms of government for the church that we need to understand how the church functions. And it's 4 forms of government. One of them, autocratic. Autocratic is one person, a church being ran by one person. If a church is an autocratic type church, it will be a 7-Eleven church. It will never be a Walmart church. Okay, it'll be a 7-Eleven church. You know what a 7-Eleven church is? The manager is the gas attendant, the stock clerk, the janitor. One thing, you about to run yourself crazy because you got to do all of this. If you really want to be blessed, if you want to have a Walmart church, if you understand Walmart church, Walmart has departments and have heads in it. And it has a manager, it has a store manager, it has assistant managers. Everybody's accountable to somebody. That's why you can get big. You can't get big if you got us four and no more mentality. Bureaucratic type church ran by a bureau, few people. Just a few people, just kind of, no. See, everybody's got their place. Everybody's doing what they do. And when everybody does what they do, when the departments grow, you handle that department. Everybody makes it work together as a unit. You don't get to work where you want to work. You get to work where we need you to work. Just because you think you can be a good whatever don't make you a good whatever. Then you have the democratic. Democratic is where we vote on stuff. You know, in the old church, we didn't do nothing unless you get voted on. Now, the only problem with that is when you don't trust your leader and they stand up and say, we're getting ready to do something. Now, Bishop, we say, we're going to have to table that. And some of y'all don't know what that meant. That's what the deacons used to say. Table it means we were going to vote on it. We didn't do it. We just tabled it. We did. So what you're telling God is, I know what you said, but hold up a minute. Let us vote on it. Can you imagine Israel down at the Red Sea, getting ready to cross the Red Sea? God said, we finna cross the Red Sea. And the deacon stand up and said, hold up, let us table this. By the time y'all get through arguing and tabling, Pharaoh done told you table out frame. And then the next form of government is theocratic. Theos. God is one. God tells us something to do. He tells the leader tells us something to do, and we do it. But you can't do that if you don't trust who you say God sent you to the church to be under. Jesus says, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger. See, because if I trust you, I trust what you say. Now, follow me as I follow Christ. I got enough sense to know if that's God or not. Yeah. And then if they got good fruit, I don't know what you're arguing about. I don't know what you're guesstimating about. Good fruit has already been good fruit. If it's got good fruit and you see the fruit, what's your humbug? Because a lot of things you can argue with, but fruit ain't one. Luke 16:12. And if if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who's going to give you your own? God says, I watch how you handle what belongs to somebody else. Now, a lot of things are not coming to pass probably because how you handling what belongs to somebody else. If you ain't going to be faithful in somebody else's ministry, that don't mean you get to go start a church. But if you ain't been faithful in a department, why you want somebody to be faithful in your department? If you ain't following nobody, what makes you think? I ain't say you wasn't at a church. I'm talking about following. Following. And so you can't follow a person unless you have their spirit. You can't be playing this Lone Ranger. And when you start playing Lone Ranger, you do stuff on your own. You do stuff with your own mentality. You got your own system in your own head. And that's how come oftentimes it's hard for you to follow, because you got a system in your head. And if it ain't what you want to do, then you don't do it. Now, when you follow, God understands how you do stuff, and he understands when you're doing it the right way, because Jesus followed. Now, if Jesus followed, okay, remember Jesus, y'all remember Jesus, you remember Jesus, that's God's son, but he ain't go on the scene by himself. He went on the scene with John the Baptist, and he was submitted to John, and he told John, I'm coming for you to baptize me. Now, why would God need to be baptized? He said, because it's order. And if I got order, why can't you have it? And John points him out and say, this is my beloved son. But when John points him out and baptizes him, he comes up and the Spirit sets on him. God's response was, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Could it be some things you can't get because God ain't pleased? Because see, most of the time we want to help, we want to do a ministry, but we don't want to train. How you going to help somebody when you don't even know what they're doing? I said this last night. Moses trained for 80 years, 40 years as a general, and then 40 years on the backside of a desert. In order for you to be effective, you got to be prepared. How you going to help me when you don't know what it is I'm doing? Everybody served somebody. David served Saul. And the funny part about it, David served what he was about to become. And even when it got tough, he still had to say, submitted to, because see, when you get the right leader, it would be difficult to stay. Because first of all, they'll push you harder than you like to be pushed. That's when you know you got the right pastor. They expect more out of you than you want to give. You want to give it the cheap way and the easy way, and they're talking about, no, that ain't how we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then when you think you done gave all you could give, they said, no, it's some more in you. The anointing you're willing to serve is the anointing you're willing to put on. And oftentimes, you're connected to people that you don't want what they have. If I don't want what's on your life, then I'm not going to chase you. Now I'm just sitting up in church, but I don't want what's on your life, because if I wanted what's on your life, I would do what I need to do to get it. Numbers. And the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be elders to the people. Get people who have walked before people so people can follow them. And the officers over them, bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand. They're going to get a chance to stand in, so we can put something on them. When people pull you in the place of leadership, is because you have walked in leadership. You walk in it before you be it. See, and there's more to it than just talking. It's more walking than it is talking. Because when you real leaders, you don't have to be talking, well, you know I'm an elder. You don't have to say that. They know you're an elder. Because if you're a real elder, you was an elder before they put the tag on you. The tag is the last thing they give you. If you still got to ask questions and try to figure out what it is, you probably ain't it. You probably ain't it. And so, see, you got to walk with people so you can get their spirit gathered. And he says, you will know them. Gather 70 men that you know. I need to know you got my spirit. I need to know I can trust you. How you going to help me when I can't trust you? If I can't trust you, God can't either. And if you got fickle issues and ups and downs, God says, you know, I can't trust you. And if God can't trust you, I can't use you. And see, the problem with a lot of times is you want to help somebody, but you want to wear somebody else's armor. If you come in from another church, you got to drop the armor from the church you went to and pick up the armor at this church. If you're not careful, you still trying to pick up old armor stuff. And David says to Saul, I can't wear this because it hadn't been proven. What worked for you back there won't necessarily work for you over here. 1 Thessalonians 5:12. And we beseech you, brother, know them. That's what he says. He says, you're going to have to know people that you connect to. You can't just connect to anybody. You got to know folk. If you're going to help me, you got to know them. You got to know them. They have to know you. Why? Because we got to fight. And we got to fight together, but we can't fight together when you don't know me. Genesis 14:14. And when Abraham heard that his brothers was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. Abraham went to fight with people he knew and that he trained. How you expect as a pastor to fight with people you don't know and folk you haven't trained? I don't care how much training you had at somebody else's, you have to be trained at this house. And you have to be trained with how we fight. See, you can't use the same term. See, most churches don't even use the same terminology. So just because you had a tag over there don't mean that tag works over here. You have to come over here and find out what terminology that they work in here and stop trying to bring, well, I used to be over there. Well, that might have been fine over there, but it might not work over here. And so, see, you can sit there and pout and get mad. Just because you terminology don't work. In same companies, you go to same, you might be one job, you might have held this at one place. You went to a whole different place. You doing the same thing, but they calling it something else. And you talking about, well, over there they used to call me. I don't care what they used to call you over there. And so, see, if you're not willing to serve the thing that you follow, this is what really gets me. People can call you their spiritual parents, but have none of your characteristics. If you gonna be my children, I need to see something. How you gonna be? You won't even fight. You don't even fight. I ain't expecting you to win, but I expect you to fight. If you got my DNA, well, you going down with a fight. I need you to have enough in you that if I got to fight, I can't afford to have a bunch of weak, frail, scary, nervous people. I will break you. If I'm leading you, I need you to get nasty, get gritty. I need you to do what you got to do, and all that whining and crying and stuff. I ain't got time for that. Gird up your loins. You got stuff you got to do. If we gonna change things, then we need fighters. We need people who we can trust. I don't need to fight with you, against you. I need to fight with you. I don't need you fighting me. I need you to help me get rid of the enemy. Because when you get the pastor's vision, you get the burden. You start trying to do the things you need to do to make things come to pass. And watch this. You can bear the same burden. You can't bear the same burden without having the same spirit. And once you have the same spirit, you can flow in the same anointing. See, if you plug in, you can get a download. Watch this. Numbers. I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of thy spirit which is upon thee, and I will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burdens of the people with thee, that thou bear it not alone. That's what God says to Moses. He says, they're going to have to help you carry this weight. We can't do ministry unless you got some weight bearers. Okay, what's the problem is most people ain't trying to be weight bearers. They trying to be the cosmetics of the church. They want to be the TVs, and they want to be the speaker system. They want to be the flyers on the wall. But the most important wall in the building is a weight bearing wall. And the weight bearing wall ain't a pretty wall. It's behind the wall. You don't even know it. But if it ever falls, the whole church go. And weight bearing saints is people you can trust to carry some weight, and come hell or high water, they fight. And they the kind of folk who will keep the devil at the house because they weight bearing folk. And they ain't him because everything going good. They him when things good, bad, or ugly. They the foundation. They partnership to the house. They ain't just members. What's wrong with most people is you a member of the church, but in next move is going to the partners. Because partners are the ones who got an investment, and I can't go nowhere till I get paid. I put my money in here, and I'm expecting for something to come up out of here. And come hell or high water, I got your back, and you got my back, and we're going to make this thing come to pass. So you can't help me unless you, Amos 3:3. How can two walk together? Now, this is what that except being agreed is what they call a fixed position. I'm concreted in. I'm solid. I'm stable. I'm fixed. Come hell or high water, you can't shake me up out of here. See, because I can walk with you because I'm fixed. Because see, when you're not fixed, you just come and go. You in and out. You up and you down. You can't be trusted. We don't know if you can be trusted. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. It's just. And so when I'm connected, I start doing things like you do. I start pulling things like you pull. When Moses laid hands on Joshua, some of what was on Moses went into Joshua. But see, Joshua had served Moses. And when Joshua served Moses, then God could trust Joshua because I seen what you do. I seen how you handle it. And so what happens is when you are unwilling to serve, you usually become unwilling to follow. And so see, when you follow the pastor, you have to see, let me tell you something. If you join church, you don't join church. You have to learn how to join the pastor. So when the church act a fool, you don't get driven out the door because you're not connected to the church. You just go there. You connected to the pastor. And I'm connected to the voice of the pastor, not somebody else's voice. Because if you deal with Israel, Israel had Moses as a pastor and Aaron was the assistant pastor. And more people died under Aaron's watch. More people died under Aaron's watch because Aaron served the people. Joshua served Moses. That's why when God got ready to shift it, he didn't send it to the assistant pastor. He sent it to the thing that was connected to Moses. Read your text, you'll find out Aaron ended up missing the boat because he was so connected to the people. Because Moses said, when I went up into the mountain to pray and I come back and you got a butt naked party going on. He said, well, what happened was you was gone so long, we didn't know what to do. And the people started asking me questions and I didn't know how to answer. So I just told them to give me some gold, and they gave me some gold. I threw it in the fire and poof, jumped out a calf. He said it was the people's fault. It was the people's fault. No, it was Aaron's fault because you wasn't connected enough to Moses to be able to tell the people they couldn't have what they wanted. Because if not, you can have that soft voice and give people all the stuff they want, but not anything that they need. See, you have to be so connected to your leader, you have to trust him when you can't trace him. Israel didn't understand Moses, therefore they couldn't stand under him. But Joshua knew he was supposed to serve. And the Bible said he waited on Moses. Them 40 days he stayed. He was caught between waiting on Moses and down in the butt naked party. Do I go down here where they having a ball, or do I stay up here and wait on Moses? And he stayed and waited. And because he stayed and waited, God blessed him. For saints who learn how to stay and wait, come hell or high water, when the ministry get a little shaky, I'm still staying and waiting. For the ones who are there and connected, I'm not connected because, see, if you only come into church when things are going good, give it enough time. Give it enough time. We're going to find out what you're really connected to, because it ain't going to always be going good. But you have to decide, if it ain't nothing but us forward no more, we still gonna rock the house. We still gonna trust God. We still gonna believe God. And so you cannot lead God's people with an errant spirit. You can't help. See, if pastors say something, you don't need private meetings. Because when people can slide around and ask what you think about what pastor said. See, that's where you have to be solid enough to say, you know what I think? I think I'm going to do just what he said. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what he said. And you know what? I'm going to tell him you asked me about that. See, because if you start getting to the point to where people know you'll tell it, they won't come to you with foolishness. People are only talking to you because you're talking to them. Oh, when you're Aaron, you got to fix everything and you got to help everything. Instead of telling folks, you need to get your behind somewhere and sit down, because you know what? You've been growing, and now the devil using all kind of stuff to get you distracted. You need it. You see, if you start telling them that, people they stop talking to you. They stop calling you on the phone. They stop including you in stuff, because guess what? They know you ain't going for no foolishness. And if my ministry means anything to me, come hell or high water, I'm a fight for the house. Exodus 32, real quick, 27. And he said unto them, thus has the Lord God of Israel put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from the gates and gates throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And there fell the people that day about 3,000. Because Moses said, you know what? Since y'all hard-headed and you won't do nothing, we've about to kill things that can contaminate. Every time that God got ready to shift them, he always killed what was contaminating. Killed the whole thing. See, when you're a good leader, you start killing contamination. And you don't let it just slide in, you'll kill it. Because you don't have time for foolishness. Look at somebody and say, just kill it. If you won't catch the spirit and of your pastor, there's some things you need to look out for. Number one, an independent spirit. Separate from the team, Lone Ranger. They only view your church as a stepping stone. They're not there to help it. They just there to sit up in there for a minute, and the first door open, sayonara, they out of there. They got personal aspirations. They only do stuff for recognition. See, when people do stuff for recognition and you don't call their name, my question for them type people is this: ain't this your church? If it's your church, why they got to applaud you to do what it is if it's your church? Want to think, you got to have a Grammy ceremony from everything you do. I did this years ago and still do. I chair every program. I'm over every program. And you can help me, but I'm over every program. Because, see, I ain't finna play up and give you a chance to stand up. I want to thank you. See, now you're telling these 3 people they did a great job, but you're telling the other 33 they ain't did nothing. Because you're telling the ones you like. But see, thank all y'all. Thank all y'all for what you did. We couldn't be what we are without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We ain't finna share the mic. Thank you. One thing I find out, people will always struggle with you who don't have the same spirit. That's how come some stuff that I say get on people's nerves, because we don't have the same spirit. Because, see, the second thing you have to understand with those type people, whose vision are you trying to bring to pass? Yours or mine? Third thing you have to watch out for is murmuring. Because murmuring will always proceed offense. Murmuring will always proceed offense. Murmuring, private dispute. Wouldn't say nothing in the meeting, but soon as you got outside, bling, you got that phone ringing. Did you hear what they said? What you think about this and how you feel about this? And didn't say nothing in the meeting. And the danger of private disputes. Numbers 16. And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown, leaders. 250. Keep your eye on the 250. Verse 3. And they gathered themselves together against Moses, against Aaron, and said unto them, ye have taken too much upon you, seeing all the congregations are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore ye have lift ye up. In other words, yourselves above the congregation. They done got mad with what God was doing and got an attitude because God was doing it that way. And so they got to the attitude so bad because, see, that was Reuben's mess. See, people always getting involved in other folks' mess. And I think I preached a message called The Dangers of Other Folks' Mess. You can lose your shirt in other folks' mess. Verse 15. And Moses was very wroth and said unto the Lord, respect not their offering. I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. They were fine to Moses says, God, come on in here. Because, see, Moses had been praying for him and saying, y'all don't need to do this. This ain't stuff we need to do. But when Moses called God in and said, God, you know what? Respect not their offering. I ain't taken one ass from them. I ain't took nothing from them. And because I ain't took nothing from them, God said, okay, Moses, since you want me to have it, you get behind me and I'll take it the rest of the way. Verse 31. And it came to pass as he had made an end of speaking all of those words that the ground cleave asunder that was under them. 32. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up and their houses and all the men that appertain unto Korah and all of their goods. And they and all that appertain unto them went down alive in the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. And all Israel that was round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. And there came out a fire from the Lord, lightning, and consumed the 250 that offered incense. God says, you know what? This is how I'm going to handle this. He says, all of Korah and his group, I'm going to swallow them up. Then I'm going to reach back with lightning and burn up the 250 Then he says to the priest, go down there and get their incense and take them unto the tabernacle, for they are holy unto me. That was startling. You done burnt the folk up and say, go get their incense because they holy unto you. How could you call that holy? He said, because I put it in the tabernacle to give them a reminder. The next one's clown, I'm burning them up too. And so when God gets ready to bless you, God says, I need people who can help make dreams come to pass. And if you ain't willing to make dreams come to pass, don't be a leader. Just be a regular person so you can go and come when you need to and won't nobody be asking you nothing. Because if you want, see, you can't be a Navy SEAL unless you're ready for elite training. See, you can't be a buck private and still go behind enemy lines. You got to be a Navy SEAL, which means you got to be trained. And how you connect it makes a difference to what God does for you next. Ruth chapter 2, verse 3 through 5. I'm going to shoot you through this. And she went up and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And her hip and to the light on the part of the field belonged to Boaz, who was the kinsman to Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said unto the reapers, the Lord be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless thee. And Boaz, then said Boaz unto the servant that was set over the reapers, whose damsel is this? You know why? She was working. Sidebar. You want Boaz to find you? You might ought to be working. Because most women are trying to find out what a man can do for them, but you're supposed to be the helpmate. What can you help me do? Let's take sex off the table. What else can you do? Okay, another day. Now, when you look at this, I need you to see three things real quick. Ruth is representation of the church. Naomi is representation of the pastor. And Boaz is representation of Jesus. So when Jesus saw the church working, he said, what church is that? Verse 8. Then Boaz, then said Boaz unto Ruth, here's thou my daughter, go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go there after them. Have I not charged the young men that they should not touch thee? And when thou art an artist, go unto the vessels and drink of that which the young men have drawn. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, why have I found grace in thy sight, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? She's a stranger, but she's getting noticed because of how she handles Naomi. Okay. Verse 11. And Boaz answered and said unto her, it is fully been shown to me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law, which is Naomi, since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knowest not. It's been clearly shown to me how you handled your pastor. And since you handled your pastor right. Next verse. The Lord recompense that work, and a full reward be given unto thee, the Lord thy God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Then she said, let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for that thou hast confronted me, and for that thou hast spoken friendly unto mine handmaid. Though I be not like unto one of thine handmaids. I ain't like nobody else. But because of my faithfulness to my pastor. Next verse. And Boaz said unto her, at mealtime, come thou hither and eat of the bread, and dip thou the morsels in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he reaped her reproach corn, and she did eat, and was sufficed, and left. Verse 15. And when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded the young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not, because how she took care of her pastor. Because see, when you learn how to take care of your pastor, verse 16, and let fall also some of the handful of purpose for her, and leave them, that she may glean them, and rebuke her not. God says, because you took care of your pastor, now I'm going to leave some stuff for you on purpose. He says it used to be hard for you, but I'm going to leave you some stuff on purpose because of how you took care of your pastor. Look at somebody and say, because how you took care. Verse 18. And she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw that she was gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her that she had received after she was sufficed. Soon as she got some more, she took it back to her pastor. Chapter 4. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when she went into her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the woman said unto Naomi, blessed be the Lord, which has not left thee this day without a kinsman, that this name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age, for thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to be thee than the 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom, and began to nurse unto it. Naomi, her pastor, she gets to the point to where she's doing such a good job of taking care of her pastor that God turns around now. She used to glean in the field, but God done positioned her to marry Boaz, and she owned the field. Simply because how she took care of her pastor. So if you learn to take care of your pastor, God will take the hard places and make them easy, simply because you help to your pastor. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, just keep helping the pastor. Okay, I'm finished. Give God praise, right? When you get to the place to where you understand the help that you need to do so you can help your pastor to get to the place that you need to be, that's what makes you fruitful. All right? All right. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to move straight into worship. All right?